I don't know, Will. You're gonna start asking me questions.
Yes. William, I wish you'd pay attention.
Divided by Q equals 3, P plus Q equals 8. We want to find out what P times Q is. So does anybody have an idea of what we should do? What? Alright, we can do that, but there's actually an algebraical way to do that. That's the right thinking. There's actually an algebraic way to do it with what we've been given. Anybody remember? Not really? Well, what if I just look at this equation here? What can I do to solve for P? So if I want to get P by itself, how would I get rid of the Q?
You would multiply it.
I would multiply it. So I'd multiply it by both sides, so I'd get 3Q. What does this help us do? What can I do with this now? What if I take this, and since P equals this, they're technically the same thing, and substitute it here? Because now I'll have 3Q plus Q equals 8. Now I have an equation where both variables are the same. How can I solve for Q?
Well, you add the Q's together. So
Add the Q's together first.
So 4Q, then divide by 4, and be 2.
Divide by 2, we get Q equals 4. No, 2.
Yeah, divide by 4.
I put the answer there. Are we done? Alright, if we got to find out what P is, which one should I plug it into? This one or this one? This one would probably be easier, right? So if I plug 2 in for Q, what's P equal? 6. So what's our answer equal?
I didn't do that long drawn out process though.
What'd you do?
I just said, what divided by 1 equals 3? Well, obviously it would be 6 divided by 2. And then I did what plus 1 equals 8, so 6 and 2 again. And then I just did hit them over your paper.
How'd you get the 6? That's the question.
How do I get the 6? How do I get 6? I plugged 2 back in for Q there.
Oh,
But yeah, that's a good way to do it. That's more of an analytical, logical way to do it. That's fine. No, that's fine. This is the more algebraic, mathematical way to do it. Alright, I'm going to come around and check homework real quick. Then, while I do that, there's one scenario I'm going to show you that hopefully will be a little easier for you to just remember, and it'll just be a little nicer. What's up? She just passed it out. Are you the only one that didn't get one?
Yeah, he's the only one.
How did you know how to get one?
I got discriminated.
I think you, I don't know. I think you lost it already.
I think Rebecca don't know how to pass out paper.
Alright. Everybody else got one?
One shade.
Alright. For this one, we got the square root of 110 minus n equals n. Alright. Remember, step 1, get the square root by itself. Is it on one side by itself? The square root. So this chunk, is it by itself on that side?
Yes.
Yes. So I can go ahead and square both sides. square root. I just have what's left in it. On the right side. Now, if it's just an n, if it's just a variable, you don't have to FOIL it. Alright? If it's just a variable, you get n squared. It's a little nicer.
What's the date be?
It be the 10th, I think.
I'm so
Yep.
excited.
It be.
My day is getting better.
Ten?
Stop.
Oh,
I
gosh.
hate improv.
Okay.
I can talk right. I just said it like that.
Yes.
Who are we talking?
With everyone who would go with it.
So off.
Wait, what you say?
What? Stop. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to know. Just stop.
Josh Hendrick.
So Janice.
Alright.
What
Math.
did you say?
Alright.
God.
He doesn't know how to react.
I don't. Alright. Now look. Look.
Oh my God.
What? On all of these, or for the most part, what are we going to have to do once we've squared both sides?
Well, like,
Alright.
that's it again.
Foil. What's the opposite of foiling? It also starts with an F.
Factor.
Factor. So at this point, we're going to have to factor this somehow. So how do I get this set up so I can factor it? We do. We subtract. Whatever side the variable squared term is on, that's the side I want to move everything to. So I'm going to subtract 110. I'm going to add in.
Shut up. I heard that.
I'll show you. No, I'll show you. I'll show you. Look. All right. So I'm going to subtract 110. And I'm going to subtract in. Now, you're right, add. Now, with this, are these two variables identical? No. So can I combine them to be either 2n squared or n to the third? That's why it's so weird to look at. I cannot. If the way I have to would be able to combine these is if there was a squared on this variable as well. This is just going to be, we can't combine it. This is why we have to factor. It's because this is going to be 0. Remember, all this stuff cancels. It goes 0, goes 0. All we're left with is n squared plus n minus 110. Remember, the terms have to be identical in their variable and exponent to be able to combine them. Alright? So this would have to be an n squared. This would have to have either an n squared or an n to combine them. Now, when we factor like this, there's not a number out in front of the n squared. So which method of factoring are we going to use? You can just, there's not a name for it, you can just describe it to me.
What?
Would you take it away?
0 product?
And on the outside, and then
Alright.
see what multiplies the n squared on the inside.
I'm sweating.
Kind of. You're on the right track. Guys, I want to find two numbers that multiply to negative 110,
The only one you get one.
add to 1.
Hold on. Stop! I'm getting there, and you're like,
Alright, so look. Think about it this way. I want to come up with two numbers that multiply to 110 and add to positive 1. So what are some factors of negative 110? 2 and what? No, 2
2
and...
and 155. Negative 55.
Alright, 2 and negative 55.
Don't judge me.
Then we have negative 2 and positive 55. What else? What? 10 and... What? 11. And then negative 11 and 10. Well, do any of those add to positive 1?
Well, I mean, if you subtracted 11 minus 10.
Oh, I did this wrong. It's supposed to be negative this way. There we go.
think it's 10 times
You'll have to be in a wheelchair.
Look, guys, look. I'm writing my
It's
factors.
11 times -10.
Correct. I'm writing my factors of what multiply to this. Then I'm looking to see which of these two pairs, if I add them, add the 1. So if I add 2 and -55, that's not even close. Same thing here. Well, 10 minus 11 gives me a -1, so it must be the other way around. So 11 minus 10 gives me 1. So that's my pair that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this pair right here. So the way I'm going to write this is 0 equals n plus 11 n minus 10. Then I set them both equal to 0. I've got to come up here and run a room. So I have n plus 11 equals 0. And n minus 10 equals 0. Equal over here. Positive 10. Alright, but the issue is we're not done. We can't assume both of these are the answer because we have this variable out here.
Can we just assume?
No, we can't. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to pretend like that's not there. Alright? Yeah, we squared it before, but now when we plug it back in, we're not paying attention to the squaring. We're just going to plug it in. So I'm going to plug in -11 here and -11 here and see if they're equal. 11 in for n and -11 in for n. This one's kind of nice because whatever I do here has to equal -11. So if I have 110 minus -11, what's that? Be careful. Alright, minus negative means we're going to do what? Add. So 110 plus 11 is what? What's the square root of 121? 11. Does 11 equal -11?
No.
No, so that's not our answer. Oops. Hey, yep, there it is. So, we crossed that one out. Now I'm going to plug 10 in for it and see if that equals. So, I've got 110 minus 10 is what? 100. The last one was negative. That's why we added. This one's positive, so it's just 110 minus 10 is 100. What's the square root of 100?
10.
10. Is 10 equal to 10? So, this is our answer.
Well, we said just assume.
No, because then we get one wrong.
It's so like we know that.
What's different about 4 and 1?
Wait, why are we doing 4?
There's no sign of operations separate the variable.
Correct. There's no plus or minus in 4 underneath the square root. That's going to make it a little nicer. Alright? I'm going to let you all work on something.
Yeah, you just basically simplify that.
So,
The complaining has to stop.
alright, so for this one, we started just like the last one. I'm going to square both sides. We did. So I'm going to get x squared equals 8x. It goes away because of the square root. The square root, it goes away. Now, again, I want to get the x squared to be positive, and I want to move the 8x to it. So I'm going to subtract by 8x. So I'll get x squared minus 8x. And when you're moving stuff around, don't forget to put the 0. I know technically it's not there, so you don't want to write anything, but don't forget. Then, there's only 2 terms here, right?
Yes.
So, if there's only 2 terms, I'm looking to see what's common in both terms. And then I'm going to factor it out that way. So what can I take out of both the x squared and the 8x? An x. So when I do that, I'm going to bring the x to the outside. Then set up my parentheses. Still set it equal to 0. Now, I kind of want to think backwards. I want to think x times what gives me x squared? X. So I'm going to put x right here. Then I'm going to bring down this minus sign. And x times what gives me 8x? 8. So now, just like the last one, I'm going to set them equal to 0 and solve. So I'll have x equals 0 and x minus 8 equals 0. So x equals positive 8 over there on the right. Now, look at this one. If I have a problem that looks like this tomorrow on the quiz, both of these answers will be correct. No, it's because every single time it's the way that these problems work.
We're having a quiz tomorrow.
Yes, we're having a quiz tomorrow. 5 questions.
This 5.
Just 5. It's a quiz. Now, look. Even though I'm trying to help you out a little bit, even though there's a variable outside the square root symbol, if it's just a number times x on the inside, then both of these will work. Alright? Every time. It's just the way the math is. So, the only time that we may have something that we have to check is like this one, or like another one we're about to do. So, questions on 4. Then yeah, we're going to skip a lot, and we're going to go down to we're going to go down to 4. Or sorry, not 4, 23. We're going to go down to 23.
Where's 23?
On the back, sorry, on the back.
Where the number 23 is.
Y'all are ruthless to each other. Ruthless.
Your parents must be so proud.
Guys, is the square root by itself? Is the square root by itself? No. How do I get the square root by itself? Not yet. That's once I get it by itself. How do I get the square root by itself? Move the 4. How do I move the 4? Subtract it. So if I subtract it, I'll get negative 3m plus 10 equals m minus 4. Again, we can't combine that. Can't combine the m and the 4. We got to leave it as just m minus 4. Then what do? Square both sides.
Oh my gosh, please don't.
Kayla, do you need to go get some water? Then please stop laughing.
She needs some milk.
Control yourself.
Oh my god.
Guys, alright, here we go. Alright, so when I square square root, what does it do? Goes away. So negative 3m plus 10. Now, I've got the m minus 4 over here. What do I have to do? I've got the m minus 4. I've got to rewrite it, correct? What method are we going to use to expand this out? FOIL. So I'm going to do first, m times m gives me m squared. Outside, so m times negative 4, so minus 4m. Inside will be negative 4m again. And then last is positive 16. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. So I'll have m squared minus 8m plus 16.
I really can't control this. Yeah, they right. I don't try to laugh. I love it when someone meets you for the first time and then they hear you laugh for the first time and they just sort of stare at you.
Alright. Now, we're about to factor, so what do I have to do?
Factor.
I know, to be able to factor it, I've got to do what?
We need to move everything over, so.
Move everything over. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to add 3m and subtract 10. Now, for this one, there's actually things I can combine with the 3m and the 10, right? I can do plus 3m to the 8m and minus 10 from the 16. So again, 0 equals m squared. What's negative 8 plus 3?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. What's 16 minus 10?
6.
6.
Good. So now it's just like that first one. I want to find two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5. Multiply to 6 and add to 5. So what are some factors of 6? Does that add to 5?
Yes.
It does. Now, be careful. What do the signs of those need to be? If this is negative and this is positive,
The 3 needs to be.
Both of them need to be negative.
why do both of them need to be negative? There are two ways I can get a positive number if I'm multiplying.
They're both negative.
They're both positive or they're both negative. So, do two positive numbers add to get a negative number?
Yeah. Wait, no.
No. The only way I can get a positive number when multiplying and a negative when adding is if they're both negative. So it'll be negative 2 and negative 3. So if I factor, I get 0 equals m minus 3, m minus 2. Alright, so, oh man, I was drawing when I didn't need to be. Alright, so I get m minus 3 equals 0, and m minus 2 equals 0. So what does m equal here? 3, what does m equal here?
2.
Good. Now for this one, I do have to. What are you doing? Thank you. Alright, for this one, I do have to check now. Let's see. In my opinion, or let me just see, would you think it would be easier to plug these two numbers into this equation or this one?
I don't know.
The ball one.
It really doesn't matter. You can do either one.
But why don't you do it between the last one?
So which one? This one? Or this one?
You're confusing me.
You can do it either to this problem here with the black writing, not when we square it. So before we square it, I can plug 3 in for m and 2 in for m and check to see if it works. Or I can do it up here. I'll just do the top one so we don't get confused. Always go back to the top. Just always go back to the top. We'll say that. So if I come up here, I'm plugging in 3. So I'll plug in 3 here and 3 there. So I'm going to have, what's negative 3 times 3? Negative 9. What's negative 9 plus 10? 1. What's the square root of 1? 1. What's 4 plus 1?
5.
5. Does 5 equal 3? Nope, so that's not an answer. So let's see if 2 is an answer. So I can plug in 2. What's negative 3 times 2?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. What is negative 6 plus 10?
4.
4. What's the square root of 4? 2. What's 4 plus 2? 6. Does 6 equal 2? No. Did I pick like the one problem on this worksheet that is undefined? Correct. We would put no solution.
I love those problems. But then you have to do all that work and it has no solution.
It won't happen on the test. You will get an answer. Guys, on the test you will get an answer. For this one, yes, there's no solution. All right, guys, listen. On a test, you will get at least one solution. I will make it so that there's one solution. All right, I'm not going to make it to where you do all that work and it's no solution. You will get at least one of them that checks out and works. All right, let's do 25. It's another one similar to this. I think this is the hardest one we'll see all day. Like these types of problems. What do I do first? Is the square root by itself already? Yeah, so what can I go ahead and do?
Square it.
Square it, good.
I'm not sure, I'd shell that out. I was gonna think.
But now, what do I have to do with this here? Foil it. So, I guess I'll come over here and do it and say n minus 7 times n minus 7. So if I FOIL, first, n times n is n squared. Outside would be negative 7n. Inside would be negative 7n. Last is positive 49. Is all this foiling and factoring kind of coming back to y'all at this point?
Somewhat.
The only two ways of factoring you're going to need to know is the one where you pull out something in common, or the one where like we use for this one, where you're looking for two numbers that multiply something and add to the middle one. We'll be good. We'll be good. So, I'm going to have n squared minus 14n plus 49 equals 3n minus 21. I just moved this stuff over here. I mean, you can just put, if you really wanted to, you could set this equal to 3n minus 21. That's fine. Well, I rewrote it because I combined the middle terms.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason. Alright then, what do I do now?
Well, you move the 3 in and the 21.
Good, I move the 3 in and the 21 over. So minus 3n plus 21 minus 3n plus 21. So I'm going to get n squared minus what?
That would be 11.
Sure. Negative 14 minus 3.
Oh, that would be 17.
Negative 17n. And then 49 plus 1 is, sorry, 49 plus 21.
That's different.
70?
70.
Yay!
Good. That's fine. That's what they're there for. I don't know why y'all think it's a bad thing to use a calculator. That's what they're there for. Now, I want to factor this. So, I'm thinking, what two numbers multiply to 70, add to negative 17?
10 and 7.
10 and 7. Do they add to negative 17?
No, it would be both negative.
Good. So I'm going to have n minus 10, n minus 7 equals 0.
Do we have to draw that little chart?
No, you don't have to draw the chart. I do it just to kind of help y'all out. It puts, I mean, it just writes down everything that you're thinking. So for some of those, it might not be as easy to tell. Sometimes, like, you get some, like that 110 number that we had at the very beginning. That's kind of hard to tell. Or if you get one like 48, there's a lot of factors of 48, so you should write those out. There's certain ones that are easier to tell than others. So I'm going to get n minus 10 equals 0, n minus 7 equals 0. What's n equal here?
10.
What? 10. N equals 7. We're not done. I've got to go back and check. So I'm going to erase these so that we can see what we're doing. And then here I'm going to plug in 7 and 7. So I'm going to plug in 7. 7 minus 7 is what? 0. So I'm going to have 7 over here. Over here, I get 3 times 7 is what?
21 minus 21.
21 minus 21 is what? 0. What's the square root of 0?
0.
So I have 0 equals 0. Is that good or bad?
Yes.
Well, it's just 0. The answer's
0 equals 0. Oh, 0 equals.
That's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing.
I get 0 equals 0. That's a good thing. That means 7's our answer, or one of our answers. So 7 checks out. Now let's see what happens if I plug in 10. Plug in 10. What do I get on the left side? 3. 10 minus 7 is 3. Now over here, 3 times 10 is what?
30 minus 21 equals 9.
Alright, so if 30 minus 21 equals 9, what's the square root of 9?
3.
So 3 equals 3.
Yes.
That's good too. So this one has both answers that work. So both of these, we would say n equals 7 and n equals 10.
That's number 20, right?
That was 25.
5.
Did you do the wrong one?
No, I got it. It's just number 20 and 25.
Are they similar?
Someone. They're not like.
Oh, I think,
It's the
Yeah,
same,
that is
it's
weird.
just backwards.
yeah. It's written a different way and you still end up with the same factors. That's weird. Alright, you want to see another one? Alright, which one? Like the one we just did or like one of the other ones? Like the one we just did. Alright, let's look at 26. Alright, let's look at 26. Should I be scared that it's B instead of X? No. It's just the same thing. B is the same thing as X, they just use a different variable for whatever reason. Make sure I don't get one of those on the final one.
Hey.
I can't read one with those.
Well, we can do them with no solution. I'm just not gonna put on a quiz. So I don't want to show one on accident again.
Why are you recording? I'm just.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right, now let's look, guys. All right, this will be the last one. Then I'll let you work on it for 30 so minutes. So you can work on it. If you have questions while you're working, you can ask. Now, I'm going to go ahead and square both sides. What do I have to do first again?
You got a foil.
I got a foil. So I'm going to come over here, make some room. I'm going to have b minus 6 times b minus 6. So let's see, that's going to be b squared. Then b times negative 6 is minus 6b. Minus 6b
That's 36.
plus 36. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to rewrite it with combining the middle terms. So I get b squared minus 12b plus 36 equals 18 minus 3b. Again, the only thing I did differently was I combined the negative 6's.
Wait, is that 36 on the end or 3B?
That's a 3b, which, well, over here is a 36. Over here is a 3b. All right? 36, 3b. My b's kind of look like 6's. So then, I'm going to move everything to one side. I'm going to subtract 18. I'm going to add 3b. So I'll end up with b squared. What's negative 12? Guys, negative 12 plus 3.
Negative 9.
Plus 3.
Good. Negative 9b
That's 18.
plus 18 equals 0. Alright, this is one of those factors that may be a little tricky. So, what two numbers multiply to 18
6 and 3.
and add the negative 9? Or maybe it's not tricky for y'all. So if it's 6 and 3, which one needs to be negative and which one needs to be positive? Both need to be negative. Good. So I'll get b minus 6 and b plus, not plus, minus 3 equals 0. So b minus 6 equals 0. b minus 3 equals 0. So what's b equal on the left? 6. What's b equal on the right? Good. All right, questions till there? All right, now let's check. If I plug 6 in here, well, on the left,
6 works.
I have
0 again.
0 equals, and then 18 minus, all right, 3 times 6 is what?
Is it just 18?
18. 18 minus 18 is 0. What's the square root of 0? 0. So 0 equals 0. That one's good.
I'll send you some information about that.
Okay.
I thought we got rid of clear back.
No, it looks like emergency, like fire drill, fire
Well,
stuff.
we already know what to do.
Well, I think they
We already
might.
know how to jump out the
Just for
window.
safety.
We already know that all the questions are
I think it's new stuff for teachers that just to carry, just in case something happens.
We don't worry.
Listen, it's not going to change for y'all. Y'all still do the same thing. I think it's just for us teachers to be a little more prepared if something happens.
It doesn't work.
All right. So this works. Now let's see if
It's
3 works.
It's negative 3.
So we get, well, this is negative 3. Then we get 3 times 3 is what? 9. So 18 minus 9 is 9. What's the square root of 9? 3. So does negative 3 equal 3? Does negative 3 equal 3?
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah, but I'm counting math,
That's really
unfortunately.
sad.
So B equals 6. Hey, giggles in the back.
Tickle me over.
All right.